Howdy everyone, here's the deal. I've got the podcast coming to you and this is part one of likely two, maybe part three series, three-part series rather. You will notice at the start of the podcast the camera's a bit shaky as we're talking. It's because it's on the table. I didn't think about that. But if you want to jump straight to 6 minutes and 7 seconds because you can't deal with a shaky camera, that's fine. From 6 minutes and 7 seconds onwards, it's all clear, it's all still, it's all perfect. And we start talking, think about Gail around that time. So it's a really beautiful time jumping if you've seen one of our ads over on Instagram or YouTube Shorts. So it leads straight into that. But we talk about Dad's career in bodybuilding, firefighting, talk about his relationship with Gail, talk about how he believes raising kids with structure and rules is very positive and very healthy and kids need it. So if you'd like to tune in, have a listen, please enjoy, drop a like, drop a follow, subscribe, all that jazz, and we'll be with you again. See ya.
G'day listeners, today we've got a special treat for you. We've got a man who's an outstanding mix of talent. Not only does he have the strength to bench press a fire truck, he can juggle real estate and not only just be a dad, but an absolute super dad. So please welcome Michael Colbert.
Thank you, what?
Quite an introduction, right?
I'll take that, yeah.
And let's get kick-started with your bodybuilding career. You're not a very small man. Most people sitting next to me look a little bit smaller, but you make me look quite average.
Funny you say my bodybuilding career, but I think it was more of a hobby. Competitions, I never really went into it to compete with anybody else. Really, that was all about just personal growth. And I must admit, when I first got into weights, it was, I didn't have much of I certainly didn't have a super dad. My initial attraction to bodybuilding, weightlifting, was just to get strong and protect myself. And then it became just a massive challenge for me. I just wanted to get as big and as strong as humanly possible.
You pretty well did that, didn't you?
I did a good job.
What was your best bench press and squat?
265 kilos on the bench.
265 kilos, in case you missed that, on the bench.
On the bench. And
unspotted, right? I remember that. So you did that for reps.
Unspotted. That was a one-up. That was a one-up.
Yeah.
I used to do 225 for reps without a spot. As a matter of fact, your mum gave me a little bit of a spot there on my first 225 kilo lift.
I've got a few stories. Mum helped me with my first lifts, and I got so grumpy when she'd touch that bar. I'm like, no, that was mine. And your squat?
340.
340. I uploaded an advertisement today where I was really happy doing my 220 kilo squat.
That was still impressive.
340 kilos. How did you even fit that much weight on the bar without it just...
Well, I was training with a trainer partner, Kev O'Grady, who was, ex-Mr. Universe, Mr. World, and a very, very strong lad. He was stronger than me on legs, stronger than me on back, but I was stronger than him on chest and stronger than him on shoulders, so we used to just go after each other, man. So that was my...
Healthy competition.
Healthy competition.
Well, one thing I really do like about you saying it wasn't a career, it was a hobby, is you said you weren't doing it to compete against anybody but yourself. And that's one lesson you've taught me and a lot of people that we follow, Joe Rogan, Goggins, they share a similar philosophy. It's not about competing with anyone else. So taking that from your gym into your life, where has that sort of helped you cross over?
I've always said it's a great metaphor for life. I mean, if you can go into the gym and if you can do anything where you can push yourself well beyond what most people could even imagine. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you can do that there, theoretically you can do it anywhere. Look, competitions, I only went 4, but I did love everyone, and as it was amateur, so it wasn't putting food on the table. So for me, it was me against me. Of course, I wanted to win, and I got a pretty good record. So at Police and Fireys Games in '97, I won the Police and Fireys Games, and then.
Sorry, just to pause before we get into that. I just realised every time we're pushing the table, it's going to be shaking the microphone.
Roger.
We were just talking about the Police and Fireys Games, and you went and competed.
That was my first in '97. I won that, and then '99. It was a last-minute decision. I made one of my best mates at the time, Mike Nyson, was competing, and about 6 weeks out, we were bouncing together. I heard this music come over the speaker, and I thought that'd be a cool song to pose to. And he said, "I've already got mine picked." I said, "I might use it." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You know what? I might have a crack." So I got ready in 6 weeks, and
so that's how you got started with the bodybuilding.
No, I'd already competed.
Oh, sorry,
with the Fireys,
yeah.
But this was Mr. Australia here.
Right.
But during that
just casually, I'm just going to go compete.
I'm going to go give it a crack. Yeah. But in that 6 weeks, I also got married and went on honeymoon. So it wasn't the greatest preparation in the world.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I remember seeing those photos because Gail took photos of you.
That's right. Yeah.
Just after the competition, The day after or 2 days after?
Day after, because I actually messed up my dieting and my loading. It was the
That's
next day that I hit it. That's bodybuilding. So I came second in Mr. Australia. The next couple of comps was in the Grand Masters many years later, over 50s for the New South Wales titles, which I won the overall. I beat all those young blokes as well.
You stomped that one.
And the Mr. Australia title in Grand Masters over 50s. I haven't competed too many times, but not a bad record.
Not a bad record at all. You end up hitting your peak a day after the comp. You got Gail to take your photos. Gail, you said that was during your honeymoon.
I got married and had a honeymoon leading up to the Mr. Australia.
Yep.
So we were married by the time I had the comp.
So tell me about Gail.
Oh my God. Where do I start?
Well, let's start with the honeymoon. Where'd you go? Where'd you blow your competition and end up on the honeymoon?
We got married in Hamilton Island.
Yep.
And we sailed around the Whitsundays for 10 days on a 40-foot yacht. Just the two of us. It was magic. But tell you about Gail. Well, before I met Gail, I decided I wasn't really where I wanted to be in my life, and I thought, you know what, I really want to know more about what makes us tick. And I thought, well, how can I do that? Books. So I went and got my hands on every book I could find on human behaviour, personal development, psychology, relationships. The more I read, the more I wanted to learn. It was just such a great time in my life. I decided that, you know what, I deserve the best. But don't we all, really? Yeah. But I decided that for me, I deserve the best. I thought to myself, okay, what does my perfect partner look like? What does my perfect life look like? And when I decided what my perfect partner looked like, I asked myself the question, if she walked into a room right now, would she be interested in me?
Important question.
Important question. And I'd gotten to that point where I thought, absolutely, I've got so much to offer and I'm in a great place, and I thought, you know what, 100%, I'm ready. And if she walked in a room right now, I'm pretty sure she'd be attracted to me. And I was right.
Yeah, well, it worked out pretty. And you met her at the gym at Hot Boys.
At the gym, yes. I'd actually known her for a little while to talk to. I still remember our first date, October 11, 1997. We went out to DCM's, which was our favourite nightclub. I'd actually had it. That's it. Glow sticks, whistles.
Yeah, no, just your classic pistols. I've got some pretty good dance moves, and I think they came from Dad. You know?
I think you dwarf me in the dance scene, son.
Yeah, okay, I'll take that one. But yeah, so you met at DCM's, dancing away.
I had a bodyguard gig that night. I was looking after Jodeci with two of my best friends, Matt and Al, who are my business partners now.
Awesome.
So I didn't get there till about midnight. When I got there, I didn't find her straight away, and I sat down on this stool, and another girl from the gym came across to say hi, and I was just sitting there, so they sort of came up and, you know, just in between my legs there and gave me a hug and just chatting, and she's walked away, and then another girl came across, said hi, and I did the same thing, and Gail was telling me, she said, I was across near the bar. She said, I went to walk there the first time, then you were talking to that woman, and I went to walk there the next time. She said, as soon as that second one left, I wasn't wasting any time.
She was seeing the opportunity and taking it while I was there.
I tell you, not exaggerating. She's done something. She walked in and she gave me a hug, and I gave her a hug, kiss hello, and the first thing I said was, wow. I don't know if you felt that. And she said, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And that was it. I knew I was going to marry from the first date.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was the best. And it was a 15-year fairy tale from there. Through all the challenges, the great times. Of course, it was mainly great times. But of course, I mean, in any relationship, any life, there's always challenges.
Yeah.
But we got through everything so easily. We had some pretty major challenges, especially when her health declined, and there were some financial challenges, but we weathered every storm.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Well, I can attest to that because I was 2 years old when Gail first came into my life, and obviously I don't remember being 2 years old, but I remember my earliest memories of just rocking up. She was always so warm and loving, and that smile was always there. And what was also always there was the little Yogos, the chocolate yogurt and the sprinkles they used to put in there. Oh, she'd have that treat for me every time. She knew how much I love it. And that's the type of person she was. She would, the amount of times I saw her cook for us, our favourite foods and desserts, and just make sure that we were always taken care of and loved. And it was impossible not to do the same back.
She was beautiful, and seeing that relationship between you and her develop, it was wonderful. It didn't surprise me because, as you just described her, I mean that's who she was.
Yeah.
To the day she died, seeing you standing there, crying, telling her that you love her just as much as your own mum. So to see that develop over all those years, and it was a very special thing. Yeah. And that was Gail, wasn't it? We were blessed.
She's still our angel. The amount of times she's come and visited and done funky things with the lights, and we've had conversations.
I know, right?
Love Gail. And one thing I wanted to ask too, you had a bit of experience with obviously raising me with Gail, and that would have been an interesting dynamic. You've had a past where you came into a relationship with my mum and she had 2 kids already. Did you take some learnings from that into then when you got into a relationship with Gail and already having me?
Oh yeah, look, absolutely. And I look at you now, right, and I see you as a very mature 27-year-old. Very
Some people might disagree, but
well, I think you're very childlike still, which
yes.
So am I. Childlike's good, but you're not childish, right?
Yeah.
But you're so mature and so switched on. You've been lucky enough to have some great influences, and I hope you would consider me one of those in your life.
Very big one.
It's got you to where you are. I didn't have that, so unfortunately for your mum, I was pretty immature back in those days. And all right, actually, I don't want to go too far into that.
Okay.
I actually don't want to incriminate myself too much, or
Mum will come after you,
or beat myself up too much on that. Plain and simple, I didn't have the emotional maturity to really embrace that as I should have or could have. But I can talk about my relationship with Gail and the blended family with you. I mean, when Gail and I met, I was so ready. So was she. There wasn't a doubt in the world. She knew that I had a son. As far as she was concerned, I'm her family, you're her family.
Yeah.
Right? And she embraced that right from the start. I mean, she loved you from the moment she met you. She was caring, loving, she was maternal. I just absolutely love to see that. I remember saying to you from a very early age, you cross Gail, you cross me. In other words, you need to give her the same respect as you give me. And I think that's an important thing with a blended family, in that you've got to be united. That mutual respect has got to be addressed, outlined, set up right from the start. But,
how did you do that with Gail? Like, what was the sort of conversation? It
actually wasn't, it was just a natural thing with Gail.
Yeah.
I knew what sort of person she was. I could see it. I actually didn't need to address it with Gail. I didn't need to coach it out of Gail. Gail was just that way. She was just beautiful. Yeah. I knew you as a child needed to be coached, and that needed to be addressed.
Yeah.
And I needed to set some rules and some guidelines, some parameters, if you like, around that. Which, of course, having your respect from a very young age, and also feeling that love from mum, it seemed to come fairly easy for you. I mean, what kid doesn't want to be loved like that? What person doesn't want to be loved like that?
100%.
So that was easy. But it is around. I mean, you can have that love, but within any relationship or family structure dynamic, you've still got to have your rules, especially with children. Children crave rules, or what's what I'm looking for. Structure. They really do. I needed to set that up. I needed to let you know what that respect looked like.
That's going to trigger a lot of people. It's 2023, and especially those big words like rules and boundaries and structure. That's not the way that a lot of parents have been taught positive parenting. I think I know exactly where you're coming from when you're talking about bringing structure to the life of your family, and especially to kids. Can you delve a little bit deeper on that and show how you view that in a more positive light?
Yes, I believe with anything in life, for success, most people have an illusion of choice. And you say that most people in this day and age think that structure or that lack of freedom or choice is a negative.
Yeah, 100%.
Look at any athlete. If you break it down, there is a strategy for success. Right? All the best have followed pretty much a similar or same strategy. Right? And I don't think it's much different in relationships either, and certainly bringing up children. There's certain values that you need to bring to the table if you're going to be successful in relationships, in business, career, life. And it really is, especially in this day and age where most people are afraid of that structure, or talking about you not having freedom. We actually need that structure for anything, in my opinion.
Oh, I'm 100% with you. I think Chanel thinks I've gone a little bit crazy. I've got this whiteboard, I've got another whiteboard over there. I need to buy more, I need to buy a book to, structural thought. I get that. I feel that too, where you're teaching those values, you're teaching that freedom, you're teaching that your kids, they can be free, they can have that option. Yes, they have a limitless...
I think there's limited... there's unlimited options, there's unlimited potential, unlimited end goals, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
But there's still limited choice within the strategies to get there.
Yes. Okay.
To achieve success in any area.
So it's more important to teach those systems and then let the freedom run of the child thereafter, versus don't teach them any systems and just hope for
Well, I think a good way to put that too is you can teach your kids, and I do. I've taught you and the Jacks. Anything's possible. You decide where you want to go, what you want to do. But then, the choices are, almost limitless to where you can go. But once you make that decision, then I'm saying the choices are limited, right, to achieve success. You want to be a great athlete, you can't sleep until lunchtime and stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning gaming or drinking. Your choices become limited.
Yes.
Right? You want to be the best at something, your choices then become limited.
Yeah.
Right?
I want to become a pilot. It's going to take this course. It's going to take this many hours before I can fly a Boeing 747, no matter how gifted I think I am.
Relationships. I follow the Gottmans. Brilliant. They've been studying relationships for 40 years or so.
Yeah, they're the one that have you sit in a room and do something like this, and then they analyse it.
That's their laboratory, right?
Their laboratory.
So they will,
laboratory.
They'll put a laboratory. I like
laboratory.
They'll put a couple.
Might be like laboratory though. Where you go to the toilet. Yeah, actually maybe not that.
They'll put a couple in a room. They'll observe them over however many hours, but they'll also load it up with certain questions that they know are usually trigger points for possible confrontation within a relationship.
Yeah.
Right? And I think they've got about a 96 or 97% success rate. So they can observe this couple.
Do you know how much it is to go see these guys?
I'm not sure, but there are some therapists here, some Gottman therapists. But,
I feel like some couples would save a lot of money in the long run, paying to go get it done than paying for it later.
Absolutely, yeah. I agree. But they've got a 96, 97% success rate. They'll observe and they'll judge whether that couple will stay together or not. Mm-hmm. They've got it down pat so well now that they can actually tell you how long they'll last, right? And their success rate. And they can do that because they've observed relationships for so long. And they understand that the choices are limited for success. Right? You need to deal with a confrontation or a conflict a certain way. And they talk about the 4 horsemen, the worst things in a relationship. Defensiveness, stonewalling, criticism, contempt being the worst.
The worst.
Okay. Right? So understanding those things, understanding we have actually limited choices if we want to be very successful in anything. Right? Okay. To me, that's a very intelligent way to approach it. And there's so much evidence. You would have to be a fool to discard it or discount it.
So did you follow this stuff or learn this stuff while you were with Gail and then start implementing it there, or when did you start to really get into this Gottman study and relationship?
Well, the interesting thing is with Gail and I, it was so easy. It was just a natural thing. I'd done all this reading, so I'd consider myself reasonably good at communicating, and I was certainly an affectionate, loving person, and I believed in the fairy tale. I actually, you know that. Before 100%. I went in, I expected it.
Dad is the king of blah blah stories.
King of blah blah stories. So I expected that going in. It wasn't till I actually, after Gail passed and I went into another relationship that it was interesting because I just thought I was the love god, I thought I could...
After a relationship like that,
I thought I could create that with anyone.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. You do need to have your values and beliefs aligned. It's actually a really toxic relationship, the next one. And it wasn't till I actually got into that relationship and had terrible conflicts, I thought, okay, I don't know as much as I need to deal with the real challenging relationships and conflicts. So that's when I started to look into the Gottmans, and it was very interesting. So as we well know, from every adversity comes a seed of equal or greater opportunity. So I'm so grateful for everything in my life. I've led such an amazing life. I've had amazing relationships. I'm a fairy tale with Gail. You three boys. Yeah. Like, really, life's good. My family, my friends, business, everything. Even the bad relationships, or the bad experiences, the failures in business or investing or whatever. I've learned from every experience. It's generally the most challenging. Could we get the greatest lessons?
Wasn't it Arnold Schwarzenegger himself who said, "Don't be afraid to fail"?
Exactly.
Yeah. That was pretty close, yeah?
Come
on, do now. Just fail my friend, to success, come on. That was better.
Does this mean do the best impersonations of what?
We're working on them again. We're going to start implementing them. Chanel and I actually had a really interesting idea for a sub-channel.